Game changer alert. Cunha's stunning return could save United's season, while Martinez drops major recovery update. Welcome to Unite United News, your most trusted source for Manchester United injury updates and team news. When you need to know who's fit, who's out, and what it means for the team, this is where you come for reliable information that cuts through the rumors. We've been bringing you accurate medical updates and recovery timelines for years, helping you stay ahead of every development at Old Trafford. The big question, could Matheus Cunha's return against Chelsea be the turning point United desperately need? Saturday's clash with Chelsea at Old Trafford isn't just another Premier League game. It's a chance for Manchester United to prove they can compete with the top teams. But the biggest story might not be about tactics or team selection. It might be about one player's race against time to prove his fitness. Matheus Cunha has been working overtime to get back from his hamstring injury, and the latest news suggests he might just make it in time for the Chelsea game. Meanwhile, Cunha Martínez has provided an encouraging update on his own recovery from a serious knee injury that has kept him out since February. These aren't just injury updates. They're potential game changers that could reshape United's entire season. But is Cunha really ready to return? Should Amorim risk him even if he's not 100% fit? And what does Martinez's progress mean for United's defensive problems? The Cunha comeback story. When Matheus Cunha went down with a hamstring injury during the victory over Burnley last month, United fans feared the worst. Here was a player who had started to show exactly why the club spent so much money bringing him to Old Trafford, and suddenly he was facing weeks on the sidelines. The injury that stopped everything. The injury happened at the worst possible time. Cunha was leading the line for United, starting to build understanding with his new teammates, and looking like he could be the missing piece in Amorim's attacking puzzle. One moment he was chasing down a through ball, the next he was pulling up and grabbing the back of his leg. Every United fan who has watched the club struggle with injuries over the years knew exactly what that meant. Hamstring injuries are particularly frustrating because they're so difficult to predict. Some players recover quickly, others struggle for months. The key is not rushing back too soon, because that usually leads to an even longer absence. Working hard behind the scenes. But Cunha hasn't been sitting around feeling sorry for himself. According to journalist Ben Jacobs, the Brazilian has been working with a personal trainer and telling people he'll be ready for the Chelsea game. This shows the kind of mentality that United fans want to see from their players. Instead of just waiting for the medical team to clear him, Cunha has been pushing himself to get back as quickly as possible. Working with a personal trainer suggests he's going above and beyond the normal recovery protocols. He's not just doing the minimum required, he's doing everything possible to speed up his return. The manager's dilemma. Of course, wanting to play and being ready to play are two different things. Ben Jacobs made it clear that while Cunha believes he'll be ready, the final decision rests with Ruben Amorim. This puts the United manager in a difficult position. Does he trust his players' assessment of his own fitness? Does he risk playing someone who might not be 100% ready? Or does he play it safe and potentially miss out on having his best attacking player available? These are the kinds of decisions that can make or break a manager's relationship with both players and fans. Get it right and you're a genius. Get it wrong and everyone questions your judgment. Why Cunha's return could change everything. To understand why this potential return is so significant, you need to look at what United have been missing without Cunha in the team. The missing spark in attack. United's attacking play has looked flat and predictable without Cunha. In the Manchester City defeat, they struggled to create clear chances and looked completely toothless in the final third. Amad Diallo started that game but couldn't provide the directness and intensity that Cunha brings to the team. It wasn't necessarily Amad's fault. He's a different type of player with different strengths. But the difference was obvious. Without Cunha's pace and direct running, United's attack lacked the cutting edge needed to hurt top-level opposition. The Brazilian's unique qualities. What makes Cunha so important to United isn't just his pace or his finishing. It's his whole approach to the game. He brings a fearless edge to the final third that very few players possess. He's someone who thrives on having the ball at his feet in dangerous areas. While other players might play it safe or look for an easy pass, Cunha backs himself to make something happen. This directness and intensity is exactly what United's attack has been missing. Too often this season, they've looked hesitant and predictable in the final third. The partnership with Mbeumo. One of the most encouraging aspects of Cunha's early appearances for United was his developing partnership with Bryan Mbeumo. The two players seemed to understand each other's movement and were starting to create dangerous combinations. Mbeumo is expected to retain his spot in the right-sided number 10 role, which means Cunha's return would immediately restore this promising partnership. Having players who understand each other's games is crucial in modern football. The fact that Cunha and Mbeumo were developing this understanding so quickly was a very positive sign. The Chelsea challenge. Saturday's game against Chelsea will be a perfect test of whether Cunha is ready to return. Chelsea have a solid defense, but they've also shown vulnerabilities this season that a player like Cunha could exploit. The combination of Cunha's pace and directness, Mbeumo's creativity, and Benjamin Sesko's physical presence could cause real problems for Chelsea's back line. This is exactly the kind of game where having all your best attacking players available makes a huge difference. The margins are so small at the top level that one moment of quality can decide the entire match. Cunha's Chelsea record. A reason for hope. One factor that makes Cunha's potential return even more exciting is his excellent record against Chelsea in the Premier League. The numbers don't lie. 4 goals and 1 assist in 5 games against Chelsea is an outstanding record for any player. It suggests that Cunha not only performs well against top opposition but specifically enjoys playing against Chelsea. These aren't just statistics. They represent real moments when Cunha has delivered under pressure against quality opposition. That kind of track record is exactly what you want from a player in a big game. Understanding the opposition. Having played against Chelsea multiple times, Cunha will know their strengths and weaknesses better than most. He'll understand how their defense sets up and where the opportunities are likely to come from. This experience could be invaluable, especially if he does return to action on Saturday. Instead of needing time to figure out the opposition, he'll already know exactly what to expect. Psychological advantage. There's also a psychological aspect to consider. Chelsea's defenders will know about Cunha's record against them, and that knowledge might affect how they approach defending against him. When a player has consistently caused you problems in the past, it's natural to be extra cautious when facing them again. This could create space and opportunities for both Cunha and his teammates. The pressure on Amorim. The news that Cunha is pushing to return puts additional pressure on Ruben Amorim to make the right decision about his team selection. The risk of playing it safe. If Amorim decides to leave Cunha out as a precaution and United fail to beat Chelsea, the criticism will be intense. Fans will question whether the manager was too cautious and whether he missed an opportunity to use his best attacking weapon. This is the kind of decision that can define a manager's relationship with the supporters. Show too much caution, and you're accused of being negative. Take too many risks, and you're called reckless. The alternative options. Without Cunha, Amorim's attacking options are more limited. Amad Diallo could start again, but his performance against City showed that he's not yet ready to carry the attacking burden on his own. Benjamin Sesko needs service and support to be effective, and without Cunha's pace and directness, he might find himself isolated against Chelsea's defense. Making the brave call. If Cunha is even 80 to 90% fit, there's a strong argument for including him in the squad, even if it's just as a substitute. His presence on the bench would give Amorim options if the game isn't going according to plan. Sometimes in football, you have to make brave decisions based on incomplete information. The art of management is knowing when to take calculated risks. The Martinez update. Light at the end of the tunnel. While all the focus has been on Cunha's potential return for Saturday, Lisandro Martinez has also provided an encouraging update on his own recovery from a much more serious injury. The long road back. Martinez has been out since February with a serious knee injury, and these types of injuries are notoriously difficult to come back from. The fact that he's now training on grass represents a huge step forward in his recovery. Knee injuries can end careers or fundamentally change how a player performs. The fact that Martinez is progressing well enough to work outdoors is genuinely encouraging news for United fans. What his return would mean. When Martinez was fit and playing regularly, he was one of United's most important players. His pace, aggression, and reading of the game made him perfect for Amorim's defensive system. United's current defensive struggles have shown just how much they've missed Martínez. Luke Shaw has been filling in at left center-back, but he's made costly errors that have directly led to goals. The timeline for return. Martínez is aiming for a comeback by late October, which would still leave United without him for several more crucial games. But having a clear target date is positive news for both the player and the club. Even when he does return, he'll need to be eased back into action gradually. Players coming back from serious injuries often need time to regain their match fitness and confidence. The rehabilitation process. The Instagram update showing Martínez working with physiotherapist Ibrahim Karim demonstrates the professional approach being taken to his recovery. Working with specialists and following a structured rehabilitation program is crucial for players returning from serious injuries. Rushing back too quickly almost always leads to setbacks. United's defensive crisis. Martínez's continued absence highlights just how desperate United's defensive situation has become. Shaw's struggles continue. Luke Shaw's performances at left centre-back have been a major concern for United fans. His errors in the Manchester City game directly contributed to all 3 goals conceded. Shaw is naturally a left-back, and asking him to play in a different position has clearly affected his performance. He looks uncomfortable in the role and is making mistakes he wouldn't normally make. Limited options available. Amorim's preference for a left-footed player in the left centre-back role limits his options significantly. With Martínez still out and Shaw struggling, the manager is having to choose between playing someone out of position or using a young player who might not be ready. Aiden Heaven is still relatively inexperienced at senior level, which explains why Amorim has been reluctant to throw him into big games. The need for adaptation. Until Martínez returns, Amorim might need to consider playing Lenny Yoro or Nusser Mazraoui in the left centre-back role, even though they're not left-footed. Sometimes you have to compromise on your ideal setup if it means getting better performances from individual players. What Saturday's game really means. The Chelsea match isn't just about 3 points. It's about showing that United can compete with the top teams and that Amorim's methods are starting to work. A season-defining moment. United's start to the season has been disappointing, and another poor performance against a top-6 rival would increase the pressure on everyone at the club. Getting a positive result against Chelsea would provide a huge confidence boost and show that the team is moving in the right direction under Amorim. The crowd factor. Playing at Old Trafford should give United an advantage, but the crowd will only be supportive if the team shows fight and quality on the pitch. If Cunha does return and performs well, it could lift the entire atmosphere around the club and give everyone something to get excited about. Setting the tone. How United approach this game could set the tone for the rest of their season. Show ambition and quality and confidence will grow. Play with fear and caution, and the problems will only get worse. The fan perspective. United supporters are desperate for some positive news after a difficult start to the season, and Cunha's potential return has generated real excitement. Hope after disappointment. After the disappointing defeat to City and the general struggles of recent weeks, fans need something to get excited about. The prospect of having Cunha back for such an important game has lifted spirits considerably. Realistic expectations. While fans are excited about Cunha's potential return, most understand that he might not be at 100% fitness. The key is managing expectations while still hoping for a positive contribution. Trust in the manager. How Amorim handles the Cunha situation will be closely watched by supporters. Make the right call and confidence in his judgment will grow. Get it wrong and questions will be asked. The medical perspective. From a medical standpoint, the decision about whether to play Cunha involves balancing multiple factors. The risk-reward calculation. Hamstring injuries can be tricky, and playing a player too soon often leads to a more serious injury that keeps them out for even longer. The medical team will need to assess not just whether Cunha can play, but whether playing him is worth the risk of a potential setback. Player input versus medical advice. Players often want to return from injury sooner than medical staff would recommend. Finding the right balance between player eagerness and medical caution is always challenging. Cunha's determination to return is admirable, but it needs to be balanced against the professional medical assessment of his readiness. The long-term view. United need to think about more than just Saturday's game. If playing Cunha now means losing him for several more weeks, it might not be worth the risk. Sometimes the brave decision is actually to be patient and wait until a player is fully ready. What success would look like? If Cunha does return against Chelsea, what would constitute a successful comeback? Managing minutes. Even if Cunha starts the game, he probably shouldn't be expected to play the full 90 minutes. Managing his workload will be crucial to preventing re-injury. A 60 to 70-minute performance followed by a substitution might be the perfect way to ease him back into action. Impact over statistics. Success shouldn't be measured just by goals or assists. If Cunha's presence makes United more dangerous and creates opportunities for his teammates, that would be a positive outcome. Sometimes a player's biggest contribution is what they bring to the team's overall performance rather than individual statistics. Building for the future. The most important thing is that Cunha comes through the game without any problems. If he can play well and stay healthy, it sets up United nicely for the challenging fixtures ahead. Looking ahead. Regardless of what happens on Saturday, both the Cunha and Martínez situations highlight the importance of squad depth and player fitness in modern football. Learning from setbacks. United's injury problems this season have shown the need for better squad planning and perhaps different training methods to prevent muscle injuries. The medical staff will need to analyze why so many players have suffered muscle problems and what can be done to prevent similar issues in the future. The transfer implications. These injury situations also highlight areas where United might need to strengthen their squad in future transfer windows. Having more depth in key positions would reduce the pressure on individual players and give the manager more options when injuries occur. Conclusion. A weekend that could change everything. The potential return of Matheus Cunha for Saturday's game against Chelsea represents much more than just getting one player back from injury. It's about hope, ambition, and the possibility that United's season might finally be about to turn a corner. Cunha's determination to get back on the pitch as quickly as possible shows the kind of mentality that United fans want to see from their players. His excellent record against Chelsea gives genuine reason for optimism about what he could contribute if he does play. Meanwhile, Lisandro Martinez's progress in his recovery from a serious knee injury provides hope for the future, even if he won't be back in time to help with the current defensive crisis. The decision that Ruben Amorim makes about Cunha's involvement on Saturday could be crucial to his own future at the club. Get it right, and he'll be praised for his judgment. Get it wrong, and the criticism will be intense. For United fans, this is exactly the kind of story they needed to hear. After weeks of disappointment and frustration, the prospect of having their most exciting attacking player back for a crucial game provides real reasons for optimism. Whether Cunha starts, comes off the bench, or is left out entirely, his potential availability gives United options they haven't had in recent weeks. Sometimes in football, just knowing that your best players are available can make a huge psychological difference. The Chelsea game was always going to be important, but these injury developments have made it feel even more significant. If United can get a positive result with Cunha contributing, it could be the moment when their season really begins. At Unite United News, we'll be following every development in both players' recovery stories. From team sheets to match reports, from medical updates to manager comments, we'll bring you all the latest news about how these situations unfold. Saturday's game promises to be fascinating for many reasons, but the potential return of Matheus Cunha might be the biggest story of all. Keep checking back with Unite United News for all the latest updates on team news, injury situations, and everything else you need to know about Manchester United. This weekend could change everything at Old Trafford. Let's hope it changes it for the better.